I'm a sucker.
Romantic.
Yes.
Don't you ever call me that.
It's true, though.
No.
I'll fight you.
Meh, 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 meh.
Welcome to the Kackling Koven. I'm your host, Dean, and these are my co-hosts, Jay.
Hi.
And Shannon.
Hello.
Today, we're going to do our first tarot deck review.
Yeah.
We've got a whole bunch of tarot decks, and we want to share what we think about each of these and give you some idea of which of them would work well for you. Today, the deck that we're going to be taking a look at is the Buffy the Vampire Slayer tarot deck.
Yeah,
This,
Buffy.
This is written by Casey Gilly, and it's one of these Insight Edition decks. We have a lot of these that are the themed branded type of decks that you can find easily on places like Amazon and other retailers. So it's going to be similar package-wise to a lot of other Insight Edition decks.
They're really great decks, and I appreciate being able to get themed tarot decks, and I appreciate that that's one of the main manufacturers, writers of themed decks. It's great.
Do we want to talk about our connection to Buffy the Vampire Slayer briefly up at the top?
Yeah, we can talk about that. I mean, I didn't come to it originally when it first aired. When I had my very first work from home customer service job, I found that in between phone calls that were coming in where I needed to help a customer, I had a lot of downtime. There wasn't really anything for me to do when someone wasn't calling in needing help. So I was just sitting at home staring at the wall, and I thought, you know what, this might be a great time to look into Buffy. And the Fox network, I guess, had reruns on pretty much all day, every day. So that is how I first found Buffy. This was maybe 2004, 2005. And I loved the movie when I was a little preteen. And in fact, because I had long blonde hair and I was kind of a scrapper, I actually had the nickname of Buffy, which I didn't agree to because I wasn't a cheerleader and I definitely was not popular. But I accepted the nickname Buffy because she was a badass. That was a great heroine to be associated with.
I'm jealous
Yeah. Why?
because I'd have killed to be Buffy. I was Daria, which is not bad. I'm not saying Daria's
Okay,
bad,
well-
but I'd have preferred to at least,
Daria's
Faith. Call me
fantastic.
Faith.
And also, full disclosure, before anyone called me Buffy as a nickname, I got Blossom because I was a white girl with a big nose. That wasn't as good. So I was happy to get Buffy when I got it. It's like, okay, well, at least I'm not Blossom anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, immediately, of course, I loved Vampires, Werewolves, and Demons, the book, when I was a little girl, and I was always into that stuff. So when I finally found Buffy the series, I just immediately related to it and loved it, absorbed it like a sponge.
Me? Oh,
Mhm.
I was watching it when it was first airing.
OG, original air.
OG. That's me.
Yeah.
And I've always been a big reader, and I loved vampire stuff.
Same.
So it was only natural that I would go to Buffy. I also saw the movie, and originally was actually quite pissed that the show was not adhering to the movie, except in the fact that there were fucking vampires. Sorry.
Mhm.
Except for the fact that there were vampires.
What's the rule with being demonetized?
I don't know.
As long as you don't curse in the first 18 seconds? Is that what? 18 minutes?
I have no idea.
We gotta drop some F-bombs and some truth bombs.
All
So just
together.
Be ready for it.
Don't hate.
Okay, so what did you initially have an issue with between what you expected from the movie and what you saw in season 1 of Buffy, the TV series?
I wanted Buffy to have her cramps. I mean, how else are you
Yes.
going to know?
I completely agree because that really feminized it for me. it wasn't
Gave it a
about she
reason.
wanted to go to the mall and she wanted to be popular. No, it was that biologically something about her being female made her especially able to sense the dangers. I loved that about the movie.
The vampires are coming for your blood.
Yeah,
In
exactly.
utero.
So as someone who leaks a lot of blood, you might want to be extra aware of that. It made sense. I don't know.
Absolutely.
All right, you're up. What's your connection to Buffy?
Yeah, I am not as big a fan of Buffy. I've enjoyed the Buffy that I've watched, but I haven't watched all of the show. And this is, for me, it's something that my sister was really into growing up and was watching that as it was coming out. And eventually, like, her and my dad were watching Buffy and Angel together.
That is so adorable, and I love that so much. I wish I had a dad that, one, was in my life, but two, would watch, like, clearly a girl show with me. That would be such a really cherished bonding experience.
It was like my father's favorite show.
Was it really?
Yeah, he was
That's
buying it on
amazing.
DVD as it was coming out.
That is so cool. I love that for both of you.
So we all have our connections to Buffy from childhood and stuff.
Yeah.
So the actual deck itself, let's get to that. We've got, a nice solid box. It's got a bit of like a glossy bit of the cover art, so a little bit of it kind of gets shiny
Little
when
sheen.
yeah. So the box seems like a good quality. Like all of these kind of inside editions that you'll see as we do more reviews, there's this like ribbon that you can pull out from underneath the guidebook to get the guidebook out, which
Super helpful.
yeah,
Oh, yes.
it's a nice guidebook, and we'll go through that more in detail in a little bit. And then the box has like a little cardboard frame around the cards themselves, which you can then pull out with that same ribbon. And you can see the card backs. And
I like 'em.
yeah, the overall like quality of the packaging. It's got the different suits of the minor arcana as a little repeated graphic on the inside of the box. So overall, the packaging, feels good. Feels like you could definitely store it in here. We've been storing it in here.
I like that the back is actually a sun, which is, the ultimate vampire killer.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a good card back, and it's got a good kind of purple and red theme that you'll see repeated throughout this deck. They really like sticking with those kind of purples and reds, it seems like. And
Very vampire killer colors.
the
Yes.
quality of the cardstock itself it's fine. It feels just like, I've become used to this grade of tarot cards, so this feels just like normal playing card type of thing to me.
Yeah, it feels really similar to just a regular deck of cards.
Yeah.
The deck has just a nice matte finish to it that I kind of like. It makes it kind of grippy. It can affect the shuffle a little bit, but
Yeah.
they're so nice and bendy and pliable that I don't have a problem shuffling.
Yeah, I'm usually the lazy, like overhand shuffler like this. That comes from a lifetime of magic cards I didn't want to accidentally bend or scuff up the edges of because they were worth like $30. But our expert shuffler over here.
Whoa, 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 whoa!
Whoa,
Let's not be
whoa.
dropping that word at me.
Okay, I need to manage my language there. You can shuffle better than I can.
Yeah, better than I can, for sure. Ooh,
That's a good sound.
that was sexy.
Yeah.
Sexy shuffle.
Here.
That was actually a bad
Let
one.
me hold the mic. And you can get the shuffle in there.
Ooh, let's get that shuffle sound. ASMR shuffle. Ooh,
Yeah.
that was kind of hot. Kind of hot.
So overall, yeah, it shuffles pretty well whether you're trying to do a real shuffle or you're just a lazy overhand shuffler like me. So yeah, the you could definitely see the matte coating a little bit on the cards. We'll get some photos or close-up video so that you can see these better. Some of them I can see already are getting a little bit of a shiny spot on a few little bits and pieces of them as they've
Yeah.
rubbed together. So they're still aging. They're still wearing in these cards.
And I think with some finger oils, probably the matte is going to get a little shinier.
yeah.
If you
Yeah.
use this deck regularly, the matte is going to absorb your finger oils, which that's your DNA, that's your life essence, and that's what helps bond
Your
you to the deck.
magic.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Magic oils.
Yes. So I want to talk a little bit about the deck art quality. I found it pretty impressive. I could definitely recognize most of the characters featured. And I feel like it went pretty in depth in specific episodes. Like, if you're a super fan of the Buffy universe, you could probably just pick out every single vampire and sub vampire featured. Yeah, you could really find your favorites in that deck, even if they weren't main characters, which I really appreciated. The person who wrote this and illustrated it, I think both of them had an understanding of the Buffy universe, and I appreciated that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
As a personal connoisseur of art, I personally didn't like how kind of cartoony
Mm.
the illustrations were. But then, Dean, you looked into it a little bit further, and you found that Casey Gilly also was the writer of Buffy the Last Vampire Slayer comic book, which was a mini-series spinoff from the main comic book series. Even as a Buffy, like, I thought super fan, I didn't know that there was a comic book series.
I have
Boy.
it at home.
Of
at-
course,
at my
of
other home.
course. Yeah, OG Buffy fan. I didn't know that there was a comic. Like, in retrospect, it makes sense. Of course there was a comic. So I feel like if you're a hardcore Buffy fan, you might be disappointed if it wasn't comic book style. So like, my art preference is I want some more realism, I want some more detail, but props and respect. And I think it's better that it was kind of comic booky. I think you're all going to appreciate that if you buy the deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you like Buffy and all, you'll like the deck,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. The one of the things that I think is really impressive is you were saying that you can recognize a lot of the characters and references to specific episodes in the cards, and the impressive thing about that is that this deck doesn't get lazy with the minor arcana
It's
number
true.
cards.
Yeah.
Every single one of the cards has something that you're going to recognize on it.
Individualized.
Yeah. So even the 3 of cups or the 7 of that's true. Okay. Yes, or 7 of scythes or whatever. It really is nice that every one of the cards has recognizable art on it. They didn't get lazy and just put 2 scythes on the 2 of scythes.
Right.
So it makes it all the more notable that it's all recognizable artwork.
And as we go through more tarot deck reviews, you'll see why that's important. Because a lot of the tarot decks that we've seen, even of a theme, it's like they just pick sort of an icon or a talisman of the entire suit and they just duplicate it.
Ugh,
And it's a little lazy. And
it's
you know,
very lazy.
Yeah.
like and subscribe our tarot reviews, and we'll give you a heads up about the decks that do that. And it might still be worth it to you to buy those decks,
Yeah.
but we'll let you know which ones get a little bit lazy in the minor arcana.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely felt like it stuck to the theme.
Yeah.
Like, Stakes for Wands is real fun.
Yeah, I think Stakes for Wands was a good decision.
That was excellent.
Because it's about like kind of creativity and passion, and the stake is is the like main instrument of Buffy's trade.
Yes, Mr. Pointy.
Yeah, from episode 1,
Yeah.
Buffy and stakes is the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that made a lot of sense.
Sides for swords. I feel like they could have left it as swords
Yeah,
or daggers.
swords or daggers.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Scythes,
I like sides.
they're great, and they're definitely goth.
Yeah.
and I appreciate it. I'm not mad at it, but I
Yeah.
don't feel like scythes was a thing in every episode
Yeah.
that we
Yeah.
associate with Buffy.
It was something that I had to ask as I was coming into the deck without having seen every episode of Buffy. I'm like, oh, is there like some big thing with scythes in the later season that I don't know about
There's
where,
Not
not.
that I
scythes
recall.
are a big deal or some famous. No, it's so, it felt a little bit forced, like they wanted to have something different, which, pentacles, they just kept pentacles because pentacles
Yeah.
made complete sense. It
Yes.
fits the theme completely. And then they did chalices for cups,
Yeah.
which is, I
Just
didn't
a
even.
fancy cup.
Yeah, I didn't even recognize at first when I was reading the guidebook that it wasn't that like chalices wasn't the normal one. It took me a minute to be like, oh yeah, that's cups, because I think I've seen chalices in other decks as
Oh
well.
yeah.
Yeah, and chalices, like, it evokes a little bit more ritualism or spiritualism.
That's true. Yeah.
It's a little bit like a cup can be a coffee mug. Like, it's a little bit bland and mundane. So, as the writer, you can't just be like, okay, cups. No, if you're in a gothic kind of universe, you go with chalices. I get that.
That is the gothy way.
Yeah. But swords and daggers are equally as goth as
Yeah.
scythes. So,
Sides are more death.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Like Grim Reaper vibes.
Yeah.
Okay, should we talk about each of our favorite cards?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's.
We can go through a few of these and see. We each picked a few cards that we liked in particular.
Yeah, we went
By
with
3.
3 each, 3 by 3.
Yep.
Power of 3.
Yes, baby.
That's a different deck. I haven't found a charm deck, but if I do, we'll review it.
Oh dear. That I don't know nothing about.
Ain't know nothing about it.
Nope.
All right. So for me, my favorite cards in the deck, and we'll put them up on screen, is the Magician. Of course, it's Willow. I love her story arc of going from, oh, I'm so like just naive and I don't know nothing about nothing and I'm
Yeah.
such a classic victim to bored now, I'll skin your ass, like one of the most powerful people in the universe.
Mhm.
And still her arc went back from that.
Yeah.
So I love Willow. I'll always connect to Willow, and Willow as the Magician makes perfect sense to me. Love it. Queen of Pentacles. This for me was great because it was a deep cut that I really related to in a way that I can't even explain fully. This was Nikki Wood, who was a slayer in 1977. And we had this amazing scene where, she was kind of defeated by Spike, but she was a
Kinda.
badass the whole way. She was
Yeah.
so cool. And it was kind of like more of a, with Buffy, we have this cheerleader in like kind of suburbia, like bland and beige and big dumb hat kind of person. I could never really relate to Buffy. But when I saw Nikki Wood, I related because I was like kind of born in the ghetto, whatever. She was tough from go. So when you get a slayer that's tough from go, that's a powerful slayer.
Yes.
And the next one that was my favorite was Death because they chose those creepy bitches from that episode Hush, which was a nearly silent, if not totally silent episode
Mm.
that scared the crap out of me. As someone who watched horror movies from early childhood, that episode still scared me because
Yeah.
it was just so quiet and creepy. It was so well done. All right, Shannon. Your favorite cards?
Let's see. I have chosen The Lovers, which has Willow and Tara, of course.
Yes.
They're on a bridge and they've got mystical stuff just whirling about them, and they just look so loving. And I don't know, it just really seemed nice, like a real nice lover's card. And
Well, you
then-
go for the lovers in a lot of decks. You-
Yeah.
True.
a lot of them, it's
I'm a
one of your favorite
sucker.
cards.
Mhm. Romantic.
Yeah.
Don't you ever call me that.
It's true though.
No.
I'll fight you.
Meh, 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 meh. Anyways, second was the Wheel of Fortune because it has the original Vampire Slayer, and I felt like that was pretty accurate, back in the beginning. All circular,
In the
still
long
doing it,
ago.
still killing vampires.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just She's badass. I don't know if she even has a name. I think she was just. No, I think she actually did have a name, but I don't remember.
Maybe we'll throw it up in the edit.
Yeah.
Do a little wiki research.
Seems like a good character to pick for The Wheel Keeps Turning.
Yeah.
Back to where it all started.
As above, so below. No beginning, no ending. Ouroboros. Yeah.
And my last one was the Three of Chalices because it had Xander, Buffy, and Willow, and they're all dancing and being jovial.
Yeah.
I don't know. It felt like it was us when I looked at the card. I felt like we were sort of represented here.
Okay, but who's the Xander, though?
You know,
I feel
I'm
like it's
sorry.
me. I feel
It
like
isn't.
it's me. Are you
I'm
the
afraid-
Xander?
I'm afraid you're the Buffy.
I'm the Buffy? What?
Yeah.
Oh, what are you kidding at?
And Dean's the Willow. And
Wait, am I?
I'm the Xander.
Oh.
Oh, is that? Oh.
Oh.
Okay.
I'm just the personality.
It might
man.
actually make sense for me.
This-
Yeah, it absolutely
works
makes
for me.
sense. I don't know what you're going on about.
Kind of works.
I
for
am the
me.
nerd.
It's not just that.
I'm trying to figure out why everyone thinks I'm the effervescent, popular, community, pulling
It's
people
not
together
that.
one when I was
Oh,
the
she didn't.
plague in junior high and high school. I
That's
could not
because-
get a friend, let alone a plethora of friends.
You can't trust
But I'll take
junior
it.
high or high schoolers.
I bloomed after.
They're all
I'm a late
monsters.
bloomer.
Well,
If anything, you should have been staking them through the heart.
Correct. Yeah.
people probably believed it was believable that you would leg off of a wooden chair, though.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
that's
true.
the thing. When
It's
people look
true.
at you, they believe that you will rip a leg off a chair and stab them through the heart.
I'm telling you,
That's
like,
why you're Buffy.
when I switched from an urban downtown school to suburbia, Garland, Texas, for high school, there was immediately a rumor that I got kicked out of my last school for punching a teacher. And now that you mention it, that is episode 1 of Buffy. The rumors came with her from her last high school.
They
So, yeah, you called it.
Mhm.
You called it. That is accurate from my backstory.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's almost like I'm a witch.
It's almost like she knows something. Yeah.
Well, the cards I picked, I didn't have. Again, I haven't seen all the show, so I kind of was picking just on what I thought was cool art. So, we'll put up better images of these. But I had the Tower, which I thought was interesting and like a departure from a lot of the other cards in the deck because it has. It's not like one character. There's the silhouette of Buffy falling past the big radio tower and lightning and clouds.
It's true. I kind of looked through, the whole deck to pick my favorite cards. And that's the one card that really didn't feature anyone in specific. It's kind of like a universe environment.
There's like one or
card.
two others, but like for a major Arcana card,
Yeah.
it was interesting, and just the art looked a little bit different with the clouds, stuff like that. Then I had the Sun. I forget what you tell me which one of these characters are. That's
Buffy and Spike.
Buffy and Spike, and it's another one where I just really like the artwork on
He's
it.
about to sacrifice himself to save them all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it looks.
Spike's a sweetheart.
Yeah, there's a couple of vampires in the
that part.
foreground, rearing backward in unhappiness at the sun that is appearing over them. And, the sun, it's a good pick for the Buffy deck anyway. And like we noted earlier, you got the sun on the back of the...
Yeah. The ultimate
as
villain
well.
of vampires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the last one that I picked was the Eight of Stakes. And
Eight of
it's really
Stakes,
just a matter
Eight of
of, like,
Stakes.
again, it's just I like the art. And this one is like an action movie poster
It
of
does give that
all
Very
of
feel.
the
John Wick or
vampire hunters.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Yeah, so I like the style of that. It's it it kind of reminds me of like that dumb scene in the Avengers where all the female characters show up at the exact same spot at the exact right time and all pause for a moment for a photo before going about their own separate
That was
Girls
a
get
great
it done.
scene. That was so cool.
So yeah, it's like hey, it'd be cool if there was an episode of Buffy where that happened and there were just all of the Slayers together all having to fight an army of vampires.
That is an
Is that-
episode.
Okay,
That
so
is
that's
an episode.
okay.
Yeah.
See, so that's again. This is where I lacking the context, but that's what this card is, I guess, from that episode.
Yeah.
Sounds
By
fun.
the way, dear viewer, I do have the entire, all of the seasons, and we shall acquaint him.
Yeah.
He will know the
We'll
Buffy
get
and
good
Angel
learnings.
universes.
Good learnings.
Shannon and I watched into season 2 a little bit at one point a couple years ago when my sister was recommending the Buffering the Vampire Slayer podcast to me, and so I was going to watch Buffy and listen to the podcast, but ended up just there's so many shows to watch and things, so just never got around to finishing it up. But we got all the DVDs here, so
Yeah, we do. We got a velvety box set, just ready to go.
Well, so moving on from the cards themselves, we've got the guidebook, which you saw me pull out of the box a little bit earlier. It's got a nice kind of lavender coloring. I don't know, the artwork on the front kind of makes me think like Dia de los Muertos a little bit, just the blocky coloring style, which is, I guess, kind of similar to the cartoon style in the rest of this. So, yeah, just the physical quality of the guidebook. Like, we've been through and flipped through this a few times now. I haven't cracked the spine because I'm not the kind of person who deliberately cracks book spines usually. Maybe I should be.
It also doesn't feel like fragile.
Yeah, it feels like it's holding together well. There's no weird like cuts on the pages. I like that on the edge of the pages you can see that the paper itself is actually purple. It's not like they just full page printed white. They actually got, a colored paper to do the print on, which I think is cool.
That is cool.
And yeah, it just feels like a solid booklet. I'm really happy with this one.
I agree. Okay, so let's get into what we really want to know, which is when we do a reading, we pull our cards and we look at like the artwork on the cards. And then we go into the guidebook and we try to look at the meanings. Like maybe some of you are tarot superstars and you don't even bother. But if you're buying a themed deck, you probably want to see what's special about the meaning of each card. What did the
Absolutely.
writer put in there that like really adheres to the theme and is the reason that you bought this deck and not your standard deck?
Yep.
And okay, so I found it really great, like way above average. We've got character names being featured in both the major arcana and the court cards. We've got 4 different spread layouts, which we talked about a little bit earlier. Each card meaning paragraph seems custom written with the Buffy universe in mind. So there's, some obvious like callbacks to specific episodes and specific characters, and it makes it feel really special. For every single reading, you're going to get like something that maybe appeals to you as a person, but also appeals to you as a Buffy fan, which that's what I'm looking for in a theme deck. There's one little minor tiff that you could have with it, which is in the guidebook, there's no indication at the corners of the pages to help you more quickly find the specific card that you're looking for. However, it does have a table of contents and there are page numbers. So it's like a seconds delay. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, and I've been able to flip through it pretty quick and just see like what suit I'm in and then try to find it from there.
Yeah, it's not a big tiff. It's just a little minor thing.
We've seen other deck guidebooks like include like colored edges on the pages so that it's very easy to find what you're looking for.
What I really love about this deck is there are some extra features which you don't find in every guidebook, which is there's an intro page which goes into detail with some suggestions about how to prepare your deck, which if you're an old school witch, you have your own ways. You know how to prepare your own deck. You're going to show it to the moon, you're going to scent it with incense. You're going to do whatever your own personal ritual is. But if you're a baby witch, and blessings to the baby witches. Yes, please come into the fold. We need all of you.
And decks like these, insight decks you can get from Amazon or wherever, are a great intro to tarot.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, pick your, autistic special interest, find a deck for that, and then learn, bless the baby witches. And this deck, acknowledges that. And it shows you kind of bit by bit how to start out. And not all guidebooks do that. So it has a great intro that talks about preparing your deck, setting your intention, even starting a tarot diary so you can see how your readings change over time, which is fantastic. And also how to choose a spread. If you're a baby witch, you probably don't know anything about spreads. But at the back of the booklet are some spread examples, which amazingly are custom to the Buffy universe.
Which is pretty fun.
It's so cool. My favorite one is the 5x5 spread because I love Faith. 5x5. It's so good.
Hard bitch.
Yeah. So please, spend some time on those spreads in the back because I feel like it's what makes the guidebook pretty special.
Yeah. Yeah, they even have one in there for it's like meant to be your first reading from the deck.
Introducing yourself to the deck.
Yeah, I've been doing that with a lot of decks as I get them. Is like have the first reading be okay. I'm asking the question, what kind of deck are you gonna be? And they kind of set that up for you in the guidebook here, which is cool.
Yeah,
always got to introduce yourself.
If you're a collector and you have a lot of decks to choose from, you might start getting a feeling about which deck should you draw from on one day versus another day based on how you feel. And your decks will have a personality.
They all do.
Based on that.
Yep.
Absolutely.
When it comes to just kind of our personal connection to this deck, I guess I have to mention again that I don't have that deep connection to Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the TV show. I've enjoyed what I've watched, and I enjoyed the artwork, the attention to detail, the fact that no part of this deck feels lazy to me. It doesn't feel like a cash grab, which is what you risk with a deck like this.
Yeah.
It does not feel like a cash grab. It feels like it's just a quality deck, and I appreciate the artwork, and it almost makes me want to watch more Buffy the Vampire Slayer so that I can get more of the references. And that's got to be high praise.
That's high praise. That's high praise.
So we each did our own first reading from this deck as well, and mine was King of Scythes, the Moon reversed, and the Four of Stakes reversed. And kind of what I drew from that, to paraphrase this, was to pay attention to sound advice you're getting and to your own intuition, and you're going to have to be building some new foundations. So, it could be it could be like an instability, but I look at it as setting up and building new foundations with sound advice and your intuition. And that feels like a good theme for, our first tarot deck review for me.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Shannon, do you want to go next?
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's see. I drew the Three of Chalices, the Magician, and the Ace of Scythes.
Magician reversed.
Oh, yes. Magician reversed. Truth. And it was pretty accurate in telling me to go ahead and do all of this, the podcast and the filming. And I'm also a longtime Buffy fan.
Well, it was also, you drew that Three of Chalices, which was one of your favorite cards from the deck.
Was.
And it just showed up in your reading.
And I had chosen my favorites before I did the reading.
Yeah. The universe.
What can I say?
Making it happen.
Mm-hmm.
It does that. I was able to easily recognize almost every card. But that could just be my mentals.
Well, we were going through, I was paging through the cards, and you were looking over my shoulder, and it's like, oh yeah, that episode. Oh yeah, that episode. Oh yeah, that character.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every single one.
Super fun.
I might be a bit of a fan.
Little bit.
Yeah.
Definitely makes me want to put on some more Buffy while I'm doing readings with it.
I totally agree. This inspired me. I haven't done a rewatch in a very long time, and this deck made me want to go back through and watch them all because there were some characters in the deck that I thought were vaguely recognizable and I should know them, but I couldn't call them out 100%, and it made me like, okay, it's been too long since I've watched it. I need to do a full rewatch.
Yeah.
Okay, so, as a longtime Buffy fan, I connected to the deck's theme more than the artwork, more than the quality. Like, I just wanted this deck. I wanted to own it because it's a hyper interest. But as I said, I especially loved the custom spreads. My reading was the Hanged Man, the Star, and the Queen of Chalices. So the first card that I pulled was Spike, the Hanged Man, who's one of my favorite characters. I love that he got a full character arc. He started out as this basically the fool.
Angel's whipping boy.
Yeah, he was just all bad. He was, Billy Idol. He thought he was so cool, but he was just
Billy Idol.
Yeah, Timu Billy Idol. Yeah, he started out as such a laughable character, but his arc during the series, which it made me love Spike, and he had this like puppy dog love for Buffy that was just irresistible.
Adorable.
He fell
and
for her
disgusting.
so hard, I love that about him.
Mm-hmm.
My reading said essentially that I am capable and I need to understand my own self-worth a little bit better than I've been doing. Need to give myself a little bit more credit.
Truth.
Also that I need to continue letting go of some anger from some past stuff. Agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I didn't have anger before, then I went into anger as part of my healing journey, and that was great. You should do that.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's time to start letting some of it go. And also that I need to let loose a little bit more. I need to stop, caging myself thinking I need to be very responsible about what happens to me, and also just trying to control outcomes for others. I need to just let loose, let the universe take charge a little bit more. I think it's super accurate. I loved my first reading in this deck. It was fantastic.
Nice.
Loved my reading too.
Yeah, I think we all feel like we got good readings from it, which is not always
Absolutely.
the case. We're not always
No,
just overly
absolutely
optimistic
not.
with our readings.
Seriously,
No.
sometimes we go through a deck and we're like, nope, nope, nope.
Yep.
And then we know we need to show it to the moon and do an incense bath, and we need to do something to that deck to prepare it. This one right away was great.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
got one weird reading from it, which was only because I didn't realize that Shannon had already done her reading and still had the cards that she
Yeah.
had drawn out of the deck.
The
So
cards were
I
out.
tried to do a reading off of an incomplete deck, and it didn't work well. It didn't work
Yeah.
No, it wasn't great.
right.
Gotta have a full deck.
Yeah.
Yep. So, what do you think, just kind of overall? You were the last one. What do you think about
Yeah.
an overall score for the deck?
I feel like this will be a theme for our evaluations of, our reviews of decks. We're going to do an individual rating, and then we're going to average those together. So, Dean, do you want to go first on your individual rating as someone who was not born of the Buffy universe?
Yeah. I think for me, I gave this deck a 7.5 out of 10. I think that it is extremely well made for a mass-produced theme deck like this. I think the quality of the cards and the packaging and the guidebook, the writing, the artwork, all of it is extremely well done. For a Buffy fan, I imagine it's huge. It's not. I don't have that personal connection to it, which is why I only gave it a 7.5.
That's still a
Bah
pretty
humbug.
high rating.
It is, and I might need to adjust my rating scale in the future since this is our first episode. Maybe this should be lower, but it feels like a
Well,
good deck.
I mean, my evaluation is that's a reasonable rating
Yeah.
because we are going to evaluate some trash decks. We are going to specifically go after some trash decks
Ooh,
to
yeah.
get the
Yeah.
full spectrum of ratings because we're going sort of 1 out of 10. So that's a big spectrum. We need to specifically buy decks we know in advance are going to be horrible and rate them accordingly.
Yep. What do you think, Shannon? What was your overall score?
Well, I am a fan, and I really like the deck. I mean, it's not perfect or anything, but I really enjoy it. I gave it a solid 8.7.
Woot!
All right. That sounds good.
Rating.
Yeah.
I really liked it.
I absolutely love this deck. I took off 2 points. I rated it an 8. I took off 1 point because I really would appreciate some prettier art. I understand the comic book background and I give respect to that. But when I'm looking at the art on a deck, I want to see some really great, like Anne McCaffrey, like gorgeous fantasy art in a deck. That's a personal opinion.
I
So
get it.
I took off 1 point for that. And also, I took off 1 point because the packaging, this wasn't like an extra special anniversary whatever kind of packaging. We didn't get anything but like just kind of a standard hard cardboard box. We didn't get what some decks do, which is like a cloth that you can spread out on a table.
Cloth is nice.
Yeah, like a nice themed Buffy cloth. Or if you don't have a tarot cloth, like something like let's say they put in a keychain that had like a little steak on a keychain. Like,
That would
you
be
know, I
dope.
can't give this deck a 10 if they don't throw in something above and beyond, something extra to make it just really great for a super Buffy fan, something that they can use outside of just the cards in the box. So I
Good
gave it an
point.
8.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, overall, with those 3 scores added together and then divided by 3, normally we might round to like an 8.1, but we're going to call this an 8.0666 piles of vampire ashes.
Yes.
So, I mean, I think for the first deck that we've reviewed, that's a really good high score. This is
Very
a
high.
quality deck. We're going to have to, see what beats this deck out as we go through more decks.
Yeah.
There are,
I
it's
can
going
tell
to.
you right now, for me, it's gonna be that Lord of the Rings one.
Yeah,
Ooh, we'll
yeah.
do that
The
soon.
Lord of the Rings deck is on the docket.
LOTR.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And listen, if you are a creator, a writer, or an illustrator, or a manufacturer of tarot decks, and you'd like us to review your deck, we would love to.
Absolutely.
Get in contact with us, like, subscribe, comment. We will reach out. We would love to review your deck, and we will give it our fair assessment. We're 3 people. So between the 3 of us, different opinions, we're going to tell you straight. We're going to tell you how we feel about it.
Yep. Well, thanks, guys, for doing this tarot review with me.
Absolutely.
And-
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, and thank you for joining us for this first of our mini tarot deck reviews. I hope that you feel like you learned something useful about this deck. Maybe it helped influence your decision of whether or not to buy it. Or maybe we just entertained you for a few minutes, and if that's all it was, then that's fine too.
Yes.
Have a magical day, and come back and see us again here soon at the Kackling Koven.
Woo! Bye.
Bye.